Have you ever felt that strange heaviness when your body refuses to move, as if invisible chains are holding you down, and the bed becomes not just a place of rest, but a prison and a sanctuary at the same time? That moment when the world outside keeps screaming for you to keep going, to stay productive, to keep smiling, but something deeper whispers inside, stop. What if this sensation you call laziness, this desire to lie still, is not weakness at all, but the soul sending you its most urgent message? Imagine for a moment that this stillness is not empty. It is the entrance to a hidden chamber of your own being, a place where forgotten truths and suppressed emotions wait in silence to be discovered. We live in a culture that glorifies speed, constant action, endless connection, but deep inside your spirit knows that true transformation does not happen in noise. It happens in silence, in darkness, in the moments where nothing seems to move. Think about it. The seed must stay buried in the soil before it can break open and grow. The same may be happening within you right now, in that heavy stillness you are trying to fight against. What if your soul is not asking you to escape life, but to prepare for a new beginning? There is a hidden wisdom in the moments when you feel like doing nothing. There is a secret intelligence guiding you toward a pause that is not a failure, but a sacred preparation. Those who have walked this path before us, philosophers, mystics, seekers of truth, understood that stillness can be the threshold of awakening. The question is, will you listen or will you drown it out with distractions and guilt? Stay with me until the end of this journey, because what you are about to discover may change the way you see yourself, your struggles, and your moments of silence forever. And once you understand the meaning behind this mysterious call to stop, you will never look at these moments the same way again. Have you ever wondered why on some days, even the simple act of getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain with no summit? You wake up, but it is as if the weight of the entire world presses down on your chest, holding you hostage in a prison made of sheets and pillows. The alarm rings, the sunlight filters through the curtains, life outside continues its rhythm, but inside something refuses. You do not feel only tired, it is different. It is as if your body has turned to stone, and every thought of moving feels impossible. This is not simple fatigue, this is not ordinary laziness. It is a message, one that too many people ignore because it does not fit the rules of our rushing, noisy, and demanding society. Imagine this moment not as weakness, but as the beginning of a secret dialogue between you and the deepest part of yourself. Think of it as a signal from your soul, a quiet alarm more powerful than any sound your phone can make. Why is it that in this silence, when you lie there with no strength to move, the mind suddenly begins to travel? Forgotten memories surface, strange questions rise, and you feel both lost and strangely safe at the same time. What is really happening when your body stops but your inner world begins to awaken? In history, countless people have spoken about moments of stillness that changed their lives forever. There are reports of great thinkers, artists, and spiritual seekers who described periods when they withdrew completely from the world, unable to act, only to later emerge with visions, ideas, and transformations that reshaped their existence. Could it be that what we call paralysis is, in fact, preparation? That in the silence of the body, the soul finds the space it needs to reorganize, to heal, and to reveal something hidden? The question is uncomfortable because we have been trained to believe that value comes only through movement, achievement, and noise. Our culture rewards those who never stop, who are always active, always connected, always producing. But have you noticed how even the most productive people at some point collapse? They disappear for weeks, for months, often in the name of exhaustion or illness. But what if this collapse is not simply a breakdown, but a breakthrough waiting to happen? What if the invisible chains that tie you to your bed are not enemies, but guardians keeping you in place until you are ready to see something you have been avoiding? Think about how the earth works. Winter is not a failure of nature. It is not laziness. It is a sacred pause where everything retreats underground, where seeds sleep, where roots gather strength unseen. Without winter, there is no spring. Without stillness, there is no renewal. So why do we resist so much when life demands from us a season of silence? What are we so afraid of finding in ourselves if we just stay still long enough to listen? This is where the inner conflict begins. On one hand, the body insists on rest, begging for pause. On the other, the mind screams with guilt. You should get up, you should be doing more, you should not waste time. And in this battle between body and mind, who is telling the truth? The part that wants constant action, or the part that knows silence is sometimes the only medicine? What voice should you trust? The one taught by the outside world, or the one that rises quietly from within? Curiously, when people describe these states, they often recall dreams that felt more real than waking life. Some speak of visions that guided them to make decisions they had resisted for years. Others tell stories of sudden insights, like lightning in the dark, showing them the path forward after long confusion. Why do these revelations appear when the body is still and the world is far away? Could it be that the very moment we call unproductive is the moment the unconscious finally finds space to speak? There is a paradox here that cannot be ignored. You are lying in bed, motionless, and yet deep inside, something is moving, something is working in silence. What if in this immobility, your soul is doing the most important work of all? What if staying down is not falling, but preparing to rise higher than before? What if the silence you hate is the same silence that carries your transformation? Do not be fooled by appearances. What looks like a waste of time may be the exact opposite. The human spirit often hides its most powerful processes behind masks of weakness. What the eyes see as failure, the soul knows as initiation. But the problem is, not everyone understands this. Not everyone respects it. Society pushes, people judge, and even your own thoughts become your enemies. So you fight against the very thing that may be trying to save you, and the more you fight, the heavier it feels. So what will you do with this weight? Will you see it as a curse or as a teacher? Will you resist it, or will you dare to ask, what is this moment trying to show me? It is not an easy question, because the answer may change everything. To face it means admitting that you are not in control of everything. It means accepting that perhaps your soul knows better than your mind, and this is terrifying, but it is also liberating. This is why I invite you to stay with me. Because if you have ever felt this strange call to silence, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are standing at the edge of a mystery that few dare to face. And if you keep watching, if you allow yourself to enter this hidden territory with me, you may discover that the very moments you judged as meaningless are in fact the keys to your renewal. The real question now is, will you continue to fight this silent force, or will you follow it into the unknown? Because in the unknown lies the truth, and the truth is waiting for you, right where you least expect it. There are days when silence inside you feels louder than any noise in the outside world. You wake up, and although your body has rested, you sense a weight that no amount of sleep can remove. It is not tiredness. It is not simple fatigue. It is something deeper, like a quiet voice insisting that you cannot continue as before. At first, you fight it. You push yourself to get up, to move, to continue the endless cycle of work, responsibilities, and distractions. But somewhere in your heart, you know this resistance is not laziness. It is your soul demanding a pause. Helena Blavatsky once wrote about how hidden forces of the human spirit often rise when the world becomes unbearable. These forces do not shout, they whisper. They appear in moments of stillness when the body refuses to move, when the mind begins to wander into forgotten memories or unasked questions. And this is where transformation begins. Imagine for a moment that lying still in bed is not a prison, but an initiation, a sacred threshold you are crossing without even realizing it. What if this is the first step towards something you have been running from but desperately need to face? Think of the stories of ordinary people. A woman I once read about worked for years in a demanding corporate job. She was praised for her discipline, her availability, her never-ending productivity. Then one day she could not get up. For weeks she stayed in her room, avoiding calls and meetings, staring at the ceiling. Everyone around her judged her. They told her she needed more vitamins, more exercise, more willpower. But in that silence, something happened. Dreams returned, old passions resurfaced. She remembered that as a child she wanted to write. After months of stillness, she began again, slowly, with a notebook by her side. Today, she is not a manager in a company she hated. She is a writer, finally alive in her truth. What looked like collapse was the beginning of her liberation. We see this pattern everywhere if we pay attention. A man who could not face his office anymore stayed at home, silent, almost invisible. Everyone called it failure, but in that darkness, he discovered painting, something he had buried since youth. That silence became his rebirth. How many of us could say the same if only we stopped fighting against the quiet moments our soul demands? This is not only personal, it is also cultural. In Japan, there are thousands of young people known as hikikomori who withdraw completely from the world, locking themselves in their rooms for months or even years. To society, it looks like tragedy, but many who lived it describe it as survival, the only way they could protect their inner world from the unbearable demands outside. Can we not see the same signs in ourselves, in our societies? The growing exhaustion, the constant pressure, the endless need to be available, productive, visible. The soul has limits, and when crossed, it demands retreat. What we call breakdown might sometimes be the body's last attempt to save the spirit. Even science supports this. Neuroscientists studying the brain discovered something called the default mode network. It activates when you are not focused on tasks, when you are resting or daydreaming. In these moments, your brain organizes memories, integrates emotions, and prepares new insights. It means that silence, what we call doing nothing, is in fact a hidden activity of creation and preparation. Every time you lie in stillness, your mind is secretly building the foundation for your next step in life. Isn't that incredible? What looks like emptiness is actually the most fertile ground. But here comes the conflict. Society tells you to rise, to push, to force yourself forward. Your inner self tells you to stop, to listen, to wait. Which one do you obey? Most of us obey the external voice until it crushes us. Few dare to listen inwardly. But those who do often discover not only healing, but purpose. Stillness is not an escape. It is a passage into a new chapter of life where you are more aligned with who you really are. Think of yourself now. How many times have you felt that heavy resistance, but dismissed it as weakness? How many times have you silenced your soul in order to keep up with the speed of others? And what if this heaviness is not a curse, but a gift? A secret sign that something within you is preparing to be born. What might you discover if you stayed long enough in that silence to hear its full message? The suspense of this truth is both frightening and liberating. Frightening, because it means you must let go of control and face yourself. Liberating, because it means you are not broken, you are in transition. And transitions, though painful, are the gateways to rebirth. So now, I ask you for something simple but powerful. Write these words in the comments right now. Everything will get better. Do it not just as a phrase, but as a declaration. Write it for yourself as a reminder that silence is not defeat, but the beginning of your transformation. Write it for others so they know they are not alone. Imagine the power of hundreds, even thousands, of people repeating these words together. Imagine the energy of that collective hope, lifting every silent soul who reads it. Everything will get better because we choose to believe it, to declare it, to live it. And then, look carefully at your screen. Somewhere in the corner there is a red button. Only the chosen will click it. Only those who are ready to step into this journey fully, with courage and faith, will subscribe. Do it now. Click the red button and join this path of awakening. Because the truth is, no one crosses the threshold alone. We walk it together, and those who choose it are blessed with strength and guidance for the road ahead. Everything will get better, but it begins with you. And the moment you decide to listen to the silence instead of fearing it, you will realize that your soul has been waiting for you all along. There are moments when the silence inside your own body becomes so loud that it feels impossible to ignore. You lie there staring at the ceiling, and it seems as if every cell in your being is whispering truths that the outside world has been trying to drown out. This experience is not rare, though many are too afraid to admit it. The body still, the mind restless, the heart heavy, and yet beneath it all something unknown begins to move. It is not laziness, it is not weakness. It is the soul insisting on a pause, a secret insistence that perhaps life has been going in the wrong direction. What if these moments that feel like collapse are not failures but thresholds? Thresholds to another way of living, another way of seeing yourself. Think about how often people confess, when they are finally honest, that the turning points of their lives came during periods of withdrawal. A woman, overwhelmed by years of endless work, spends weeks unable to rise from her bed, only to discover through dreams and sudden clarity that her true path was not in the company she served, but in the art she had abandoned as a child. A man, retreating in silence after heartbreak, spends long days alone, and in that solitude, He remembers passions and desires buried under the demands of the world. These stories are not accidents. They are proof that the spirit often speaks most clearly when the body refuses to continue the empty rhythm of daily life. But here lies the unsettling question: how many of us have missed these messages because we rush to label them as depression, laziness, or failure? How many times have we silenced our own souls just to continue meeting the expectations of others? Could it be that what we call weakness is sometimes the very doorway to strength? And what about you? Have you ever felt a strange resistance to continue your routine, even when nothing on the surface seemed wrong? That sensation, that something inside was pulling you away from the noise, begging you to rest, to listen, to notice. If so, then you know that the body is not always your enemy. Sometimes it is your greatest messenger, speaking in the only language strong enough to stop you. When the great thinkers of the past described their encounters with silence, they often spoke of visions and insights that appeared like lightning in the dark. Jung described vivid dreams that became maps to the unconscious. Mystics from every tradition spoke of nights of despair that suddenly opened into experiences of clarity and illumination. Could it be that the stillness you fear is in fact the same path these seekers once walked? If they found meaning in their solitude, why not you? The paradox grows deeper the more we look. On the outside, nothing is happening. You lie in bed, motionless, unreachable. But inside, entire, worlds are shifting. Dreams become vivid. Thoughts reorganize themselves. Forgotten emotions rise to the surface. You might think you are doing nothing, but the truth is, your soul is doing everything. The silence outside hides the movement within. And this movement, though invisible, may be the beginning of a transformation that will shape the rest of your life. Have you noticed how often creativity is born in moments of pause? Writers speak of long, dry seasons, where words refuse to come, only to later find themselves pouring entire books in a burst of energy. Artists describe silent months, where the brush remained untouched, until suddenly, new visions exploded onto the canvas. Even inventors and scientists confess that their greatest breakthroughs arrived not when they forced their minds to work, but when they stopped, rested, and allowed the unconscious to rise. What does this reveal about the true nature of progress? And yet, if this is true, why do we keep running from silence? Why do we resist stillness as if it were our greatest enemy? Why do we push ourselves into exhaustion instead of allowing the body and soul to do their hidden work? Could it be that we fear what we might discover if we finally listened? The stories are endless if you are willing to hear them. A man, after months of stillness, suddenly dreams of his deceased father and wakes with the realization that his life must change direction. A woman who thought she was trapped in meaningless exhaustion emerges from her retreat with an entirely new vision for her future. These moments appear random, but they are not. They follow a rhythm, the same rhythm nature follows. Contraction before expansion, silence before sound, darkness before dawn. The soul is no different. So let us pause and ask, what if these moments you try so hard to escape are the exact moments designed to save you? What if the heaviness is not punishment, but preparation? What if lying still is not wasting life, but protecting it until the right moment arrives? It is difficult to hold this thought because everything around you screams the opposite. The world tells you to get up, to produce, to move forward, to ignore the inner voice. People will judge you, and even your own thoughts will attack you with guilt. But in that exact battle lies the key. If you resist too much, the voice will fade. If you listen, however, you may discover a truth that no teacher, no book, no outside authority could ever give you. And yet there is still a mystery. Why does this process feel so painful? Why does the soul choose such heavy silence, such unbearable immobility to communicate? Perhaps because the human mind is stubborn, and only through something that feels impossible to ignore will it finally stop. Pain, heaviness, silence. These are the languages of the soul when all other languages fail. Think now of your own life. How many times have you avoided silence because you feared what it might reveal? How many times have you drowned your inner voice with endless distractions, scrolling, talking, working, running, anything but listening? What would happen if, for once, you allowed yourself to stay in that silence, to sink into it, to trust it? Could you bear what you might find? The truth is both frightening and beautiful. Inside that silence lives the possibility of rebirth. But it is not guaranteed. It demands courage. It demands that you look at what you have been avoiding, that you face the shadow you have hidden, that you let go of the masks you wear. Are you ready for that? Or will you continue running, fearing the very thing that could transform you? Every person who has gone through this knows the danger and the promise. The danger is that silence, if ignored, can turn to despair, isolation, emptiness. The promise is that silence, if embraced, can turn to clarity, freedom, and renewal. Both paths exist in the same place. Which path will you take? Perhaps the real challenge is not surviving the silence, but trusting it. Trusting that while the body lies still, the soul is doing the most important work of your life. Trusting that what feels like a prison may in truth be a sanctuary. Trusting that the pain you feel now may one day become the wisdom that guides you. But will you allow that trust to grow, or will you keep strangling it with doubt? And if all of this is true, then one last question remains. What is the silence within you trying to say right now? If you stopped resisting, if you stopped labeling, if you just listened, what would you hear? That is the question only you can answer, and it may be the question that changes everything. There comes a time when the silence no longer feels like rest, but like a mirror that forces you to look at everything you tried to ignore. It is in these moments that you meet the shadow, the side of yourself that has been buried under years of roles, expectations, and fears. The shadow does not come dressed in darkness to destroy you. It comes to remind you of the pieces of your life that you abandoned, the feelings you denied, the truths you refused to speak. You may feel resistance, fear, even anger, but this confrontation is not punishment. It is the necessary step to allow your soul to return to its wholeness. In every ancient tradition, the seeker had to walk through the valley of shadows before they could find the light, and the same happens within you. Consider for a moment how the world around you reflects this hidden truth. According to the World Health Organization, more than 280 million people around the globe suffer from depression, and many of them describe exactly these states of immobility, heaviness, and withdrawal. But what if we looked at these numbers differently? Instead of only seeing illness, what if we also saw humanity's collective soul crying for silence, for healing, for a chance to face what has been ignored for too long? In Japan, there is a phenomenon called hikikomori, where over 1 million young people lock themselves in their rooms for months or even years, refusing to participate in society. To outsiders, this seems tragic, but to those living it, it often feels like the only way to survive. Could this mass withdrawal be a symptom of a deeper imbalance in our world? Could it be that society itself is running so fast, so blindly, that more and more souls are forced to stop in radical ways? The shadow is not only personal, it is also collective. When you lie in silence, refusing to move, you are not just confronting your own hidden truths, you are also carrying the weight of a world that does not allow pauses. The shadow whispers to you about what is broken, your exhaustion, your relationships, your forgotten dreams, but also the exhaustion of the planet, the disconnection of humanity, the forgotten wisdom of silence. And here lies the paradox. The very thing that looks like weakness, the inability to rise, the desire to withdraw, is also the place where both personal and collective transformation can begin, but only if you dare to look deeper. History gives us many examples of people who found their true strength when they stopped running. Vincent van Gogh spent long periods locked in hospitals, painting visions of his soul in moments when society judged him mad. Emily Dickinson wrote over 1,800 poems from the quiet of her room, poems that changed literature forever. Mahatma Gandhi, before leading a nation, spent time in silence and retreat, shaping the philosophy of non-violence that would later inspire the world. What do these examples show us? That the shadow, when faced, can become a source of creation, transformation, and power, but only when we stop treating it as an enemy. There is another truth, however, that must be faced. Silence and shadow can also become prisons if we resist their lessons for too long. Statistics reveal that suicide takes the lives of nearly 800,000 people every year, one every 40 seconds, and many of these lives are lost because the silence turned into despair instead of transformation. This is why your attitude in these moments matters. If you resist the shadow, if you see the silence only as punishment, you risk falling into its darkest side. But if you face it with curiosity, humility, and courage, it becomes a path. The question is, which path will you choose? Think of the micro-conflicts you experience every day. You wake up and ask yourself, do I get out of bed or do I stay? Do I face the world or do I hide? Do I listen to my body or do I obey the demands outside? Each of these small decisions reflects the bigger journey, and each choice either pulls you closer to despair or opens a door to self-discovery. It is in the repetition of these moments that transformation slowly takes shape, but only if you remain open to the possibility that silence has meaning. This is where part of the mystery lies. Science shows that the human brain, during moments of stillness, enters a state of reorganization called the default mode network. This network activates when you are not focused on the outside world, when you are resting, daydreaming, or reflecting. It is in this state that your brain processes emotions, memories, and future possibilities. In other words, the very times you believe you're doing nothing, your mind is building the architecture of your next chapter. Isn't it surprising that the very act society despises, lying still, doing nothing, may be the biological foundation for growth and change? And yet, how often do you give yourself permission to enter that state without guilt? How often do you trust that the heaviness you feel is not the end, but a step in the process? Most of the time you fight it. You force yourself to rise before you are ready, to return to the noise before you have heard the message. But what would happen if, just once, you allowed yourself to fully surrender to the silence? What truths might you discover? Here lies the challenge of Part 5, understanding the difference between a silence that heals and a silence that harms. When the soul withdraws, it seeks renewal. But if you disconnect completely, without hope, without vision, the silence can become a trap. The signs are subtle but important. In a healing silence, your dreams grow vivid, your inner world feels alive, and small insights appear even in the heaviness. In a harmful silence, all sense of meaning disappears, leaving only emptiness and despair. The key is learning to recognize the difference. Look again at history. There are countless stories of people who embraced silence and emerged transformed, but there are also countless tragedies of those who never returned. The question for you is this: which path are you walking? Are you listening for the messages hidden in the stillness, or are you drowning in it? It may be difficult to tell at first, but awareness is your greatest ally. If you can pause long enough to ask, what is this silence trying to teach me? You may already be turning it into a doorway instead of a wall. To make this more real, think of your own daily life. Imagine you come home exhausted from work, and instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone, you allow yourself to lie in silence for 15 minutes. At first, it feels unbearable. Your mind screams with unfinished tasks. But slowly you notice a thought rising, something you have been ignoring, a relationship that no longer serves you, a dream you abandoned, a truth you have been afraid to speak. That single moment of listening could be the spark for change. Multiply that by days, weeks, months, and suddenly the silence is no longer your enemy, it is your guide. At the same time, imagine another scenario. Someone lies in bed for days, weeks, unable to move, but instead of listening, they fill the silence with self-judgment. I am useless, I am broken, I will never get better. In this space, silence becomes a prison. The difference between healing and harm is not in the silence itself, but in the meaning you give to it. One path leads to renewal, the other to despair. Which one will you choose? It may surprise you to know that even cultures shaped by constant productivity recognize the power of silence. In Finland, silence is celebrated as a national value, believed to hold dignity and strength. In Native American traditions, silence is considered a sacred language, a way of listening to the earth and the spirits. In monastic traditions across Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism, silence is the foundation of transformation. If silence is so respected across the globe, why do we treat it as failure in our personal lives? The answer is simple: fear. We fear the shadow, we fear stillness, we fear what we will find when the noise stops. But the truth is, what we fear most often hides the very thing we need most. And so the journey continues. The bed that feels like a prison may become your sanctuary. The silence that feels unbearable may become your teacher. The shadow that frightens you may reveal your light. But only if you dare to stay long enough to see what lies beyond the fear. As you reach this point, The real test is not whether you can survive the silence, but whether you can trust it. Trust that in this apparent immobility, your soul is working. Trust that even when nothing seems to change, everything is changing. Trust that the silence you resist may be the birthplace of your next chapter. The statistics, the stories, the science, all point to the same truth. Silence is not emptiness, it is potential, and it is waiting for you. Life has a way of hiding its most powerful lessons in the places we least expect. What felt like weakness, silence, or immobility has now revealed itself to be a teacher. This journey through stillness and shadow was never about defeat. It was always about transformation. But knowledge alone is not enough. If you stop here, it becomes just another idea that fades when the video ends. What truly matters is how you take this understanding into your daily life, how you allow silence to guide you, and how you turn what once felt like paralysis into an opportunity for rebirth. The first step is to reframe how you see these moments of stillness. Instead of calling them laziness or failure, recognize them as signals. When your body feels heavy and your soul asks for silence, pause and listen. Even 5 minutes of stillness practiced with intention can shift your perspective. This is not wasted time. It is a sacred investment in your inner world. Try it at the start or end of each day. Lie still, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, what is this silence trying to tell me? Write down what comes, even if it seems unclear. Over time, patterns will emerge, and your unconscious will reveal what it has been trying to show you. The second step is to integrate small rituals of reflection into your daily routine. Science shows that the mind reorganizes itself in moments of pause, so give it that chance. Keep a journal beside your bed to record dreams, sudden insights, or feelings that surface during your quiet moments. These fragments may not make sense at first, but as days and weeks pass, you will begin to see the deeper story they are telling you. This process is not about perfection, it is about attention. Attention is what transforms silence into wisdom. The third step is to balance stillness with gentle action. Silence is powerful, but it is not meant to last forever. When you feel the first sparks of energy returning, honor them. Take small steps. Go for a short walk. Express yourself through drawing, music, or movement. Let creativity be your bridge back to the world. The goal is not to rush, but to respect the rhythm of your own soul. Just as nature balances winter with spring, you are learning to balance stillness with renewal. The fourth step is connection. Even though silence is deeply personal, transformation grows stronger when shared. Talk to someone you trust about what you are experiencing. Or if speaking feels impossible, write anonymously in a community or forum. You will discover that many others have walked through the same valley of silence and shadow. Their stories will remind you that you are not alone, and your story, even in fragments, may offer hope to someone else. Connection does not destroy silence, it enriches it. The fifth step is to respect your limits while also challenging the voices of guilt. Stillness is necessary, but despair is not your destination. If you ever feel that silence is turning into emptiness, do not hesitate to seek professional guidance. There is courage in asking for help, just as there is courage in listening to yourself. Remember, transformation is not a solitary act. It is a rhythm between you, others, and life itself. And finally, the sixth step is to cultivate trust. Trust that your soul knows more than your fear. Trust that silence is not a void, but a seedbed for renewal. Trust that every pause holds meaning, even if you cannot see it yet. This trust will carry you through the heaviest days, reminding you that what feels like an ending is often the quiet preparation for a new beginning. Now imagine what could happen if you truly applied this plan to your life. Imagine seeing your moments of stillness not as failures but as sacred pauses. Imagine building a journal of dreams and reflections that guides your decisions. Imagine walking slowly but steadily back into the world with a renewed sense of purpose. Imagine no longer fighting against yourself, but walking hand in hand with your own soul. This is not just a possibility, it is a choice, and it is a choice you can make today. The path is not easy, but it is real. And the truth is, you have already begun. By watching this far, by staying with these words, you have shown that part of you is ready to stop resisting, ready to listen, ready to transform. So take this as your sign. Everything you need is already inside you, waiting to be heard. All that is left is the courage to act. If these words have touched you, I invite you now to take the next step. Subscribe to this channel so we can continue this journey together. Like this video so that it can reach others who are searching for meaning in their silence. And share your story, your questions, or even your doubts in the comments below. You can write openly or anonymously, but write, because your experience matters. Your silence carries wisdom, and by sharing it, you may give someone else the strength they need to face their own shadow. This is how transformation begins, with one voice, one reflection, one step at a time.